Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Patreon podcast. This week, I wanted to talk about the idea of always being moving, always having new ideas, and never really working to stagnate. Because I feel, and this might not be a universal feeling, but I feel that if you stay in one place too long, if you're just sitting and making the same art over and over again, I feel that it can cause negative effects on just the way that you approach and the way that you enjoy the work that you do. I feel that evolution is something that has to happen in any circumstance when it comes to making art, that it's always so important to just keep your eyes open for something new and for something interesting to pique your interest. And I kind of ran into this problem when I was making The Moon Seems Unaffected, because I spent literally the whole month working on this album, and each song had the same arrangement of instruments, and each had like the same tempo, and each had it had a very specific mood to it, which is great. Like, it's absolutely one of my favorite albums. But at the end of the month, I was running out of any good ideas, and I was struggling against the feeling that I just had no good ideas anymore, because I had been doing this same thing over and over again, and I felt like I was stagnating. And it sucked because I really wanted to put more on the album and express more on the album, but I just couldn't. Because I kind of felt like I stopped moving. Like I wasn't moving forward anymore. I was just working in this rut. And as great as the rut was, and as much as I loved working in that rut, I feel that I was unable to be inspired the same way if I kept those doors open, if I was always looking for something new. And I mean, even when it comes to the same idea like this, there's always ways to keep your mind open to iterate. Even this started as the Creative Exploration series on YouTube. And even the Creative Exploration series came off of a series of blog posts I wrote on Tumblr like 4 years ago. And all of that kind of spawned from the idea that I just want to talk about this stuff. And the medium in this case doesn't necessarily matter as much as just the way of getting it out there. Like, I've written songs that have inspirational stuff in them. I have an album in the works called Infinity Loop that is basically ambient music with this kind of stuff in the background. And I think it's really important to just continue focusing on new and interesting ways to express the ideas that you have. Like in my case, I probably would have gone crazy if I had just stuck with making the small ensemble dark jazz ambient stuff. Because like, I feel that there's just not a lot of ways to express yourself in that medium. And being able to just kind of go crazy and make like a tech song later in the month, or make even a similar arrangement with just different instruments and different ways of expressing those ideas, I think all of that can really lead to a revolution, not only for that one particular song, but for your style in general. I really like the idea of just kind of going with whatever works at the time. Even yesterday, I was working on a stream, and I had finished the contact instrument for February, and I wanted to kind of mess with that. And I had the idea of having this mixed meter thing where like the arpeggios were playing like pentuplets, I guess is what it's called, where there's basically 5 to a measure, and the rest of it was on the standard like 4 beats to a measure kind of thing. And there was this really interesting interplay between the rhythms of the arpeggios and the rhythms of the percussion, and I found that really fascinating. And now I kind of want to see if I can do more with those kind of polymeter explorations. And who knows, maybe I'll try it and it becomes overwhelming and it doesn't really do it for me. But I want to explore it more, and I want to learn more about how that stuff works. And that's kind of what I'm talking about, where it's always just continuing to move forward and try new things and be interested in how things work. And if you explore down a path and it doesn't work out for you, at least you learned that it doesn't work out for you. I always hear people talking about like failing a project or trying something that doesn't work. And I think that it's also just as valuable to realize that something doesn't work for you, so you don't spend more time on it. I mentioned this a couple times during the Shotgun Pals podcast, but I took a course on making music for brands. So basically like writing music for commercials and stuff like that. I was super pumped. I was so excited to make music for brands because that really fits within what I do. I make music quickly. I make music with particular energy or tone or abstract feeling to it. But the more I learned about the process of making music for brands, the less enamored I was with the idea, where it's like working with clients, and generally very frantic and very specific clients because they're putting lots and lots of money into the project. And it's just like, that's exactly what I'm trying to get away from. So even though I spent money and time on this course, I learned something very valuable. And even though that thing that I learned isn't going to like make me a bunch of money or like put out a new album, it also taught me that this is something that I don't want to pursue. And I think that is just as valuable as learning something that you do want to pursue, because then you're not spending your time on it anymore. Yeah, I think that really the thing that I want you to take away from this is that it's just really important to always keep your eyes open and just keep your eyes aware, or keep your mind aware of other opportunities that are out there, and don't try to limit yourself to just one thing. Even like the 2-hour track challenge, it's evolved over time. Like I used to go off of a very strict rule set. I used to have all of these challenges every time where I had to do it within this style. And it's just like, it's evolved beyond that. It's evolved into something where I can just sit down and I can make things. And I don't have to worry about adhering to a style or anything like that. And I think that it's really important to make sure that your style does evolve, because otherwise you're going to stagnate. And when you stagnate, it's really hard to break out of it sometimes, because you feel like you're set in a habit, and good or bad habits, sometimes they're really hard to break. So yeah, I think that's it. Thank you so much for being a Patreon supporter. I really genuinely appreciate it. Thank you so much for listening, and I will see you, or I guess I'll talk to you, in the next episode. Be remarkable.